Hey everybody, it's Eric from EP Autos, your Libertarian car guy, and we're still trying to fix the EP Autos domain thing. So if you're having trouble accessing the site, just type in ericpetersautos.com until we get it sorted out. Okay, enough said about that. Doing a walk around right here of this Dodge Ram ProMaster City. It says Dodge on it, but really it's a Fiat. They sell this thing in Europe and they've rebadged it for the US, and it's one of the growing crowd of little compact jitney bussy runabout things. It competes against the Ford Transit, the Nissan NV200, and Chevy's also got one of these things out too, and right now I can't remember the name, it's too early in the morning. But I see these things as sort of a resurgence of the original minivan concept. Back in the early 80s, when minivans first came out, they were based on small cars, the Aries K car specifically. And so they tended to have a small footprint. They tended to have small four-cylinder engines with maybe a little V6 optional. They were affordable, they were utilitarian, they were pretty good on gas. Nowadays, if you have shopped for a minivan, you'll notice that they're pretty big, and they all have big V6 engines, and they all have a big appetite for gas, and most of them are pretty expensive. In fact, with the exception of the Dodge Caravan, that's the only one that you can still buy that's not pushing 30,000 bucks base price. Whereas you could pick up one of these things for just a little over 20. So they're very affordable. They also come with little four-cylinder engines, so they're pretty economical to operate. And yet they have all of the attributes that made the original minivans so appealing. For example, it has a sliding door. Now, people are buying smaller crossovers as an alternative to minivans, but of course none of those crossovers have a sliding door like that. These do. So you got that. Now this particular one, as you can see, just has the shell in the back, so it's configured more for either a commercial purpose or for maybe, you know, somebody like me who has motorcycles and likes the idea of being able to cart a bike around without it being exposed. Look at the low step-in height. See how low that thing is to the ground? Super easy to roll a bike into this thing. Roll the bike in, cinch it down with the tie downs, and you're good to go. It won't get wet, and you won't have to worry about somebody stealing it. At least they'd have to break into the thing to steal it, and that's pretty neat. This one has the black off panels for the windows, but you can order it with windows, or you can order it with seats if you want to, and make it into basically a minivan. Or if you have a small business, if you're a contractor, if you're an electrician or a plumber or whatever you are, you can fit this thing with shelving if you feel like it. You can put lots of boxes in here. Just a really versatile, really neat vehicle. Move around to the front here a little bit. Close this door. And by the way, I like that it's not a power slider. You just go like that, and you can actually close it without having to sit here and listen to the ding, 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 while it cripplingly, slowly for safety, goes back and does its thing. All right, let's go inside and have a look. Now, even though this thing is pretty utilitarian and pretty inexpensive, it's got a pretty doggone nice cockpit. Now, it's nicer than in my opinion, this is subjective, it's nicer than the Nissan NV. Maybe not quite as swanky as the Ford Transit, but nonetheless, check it out. You know, you've got full instruments, you've got GPS, you got Bluetooth. The thing even has seat heaters. Here's the seat heater for it. So it's pretty nicely equipped. Has pretty much everything that you have found in a high-end minivan 10 years ago, just without the obnoxiously high MSRP. This particular one that I've got here is powered by the 2.4 liter, they call it the Tiger Shark engine. You'll find it in a number of Fiat Chrysler products, including the new Jeep Renegade, also the 500X, both of which I've reviewed recently, and you'll find them up at epautos.com if you're interested in that. The engines are pretty stout. I like the engines, have no issues with the engines. However, one of the things about this vehicle and other Fiat Chrysler vehicles that are on the market right now, including that 500X, also the Chrysler 200, and there's some other models as well, they have this 9-speed automatic and I've ranted about it before. It's technically an interesting box, 9 forward speeds, that's pretty impressive. And it helps the vehicle get pretty good fuel economy. The problem with it is that the shifting pattern still needs to be sorted out, or the shifting characteristics, I should say. On straight and level, and when you're accelerating, it's fine. But I live up here in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I oftentimes have to descend a grade for several miles as I work my way back into Roanoke. And when I do that, and I found in all these vehicles, different models of vehicles, but all with that same 9-speed transmission, it kind of surges forward. It's like it feels like it's like jumped forward a couple of gears, which is probably exactly what it's done. And the engine revs, and it makes a lot of noise, and they really need to figure that out. That's one of the very few complaints I have about this particular vehicle. Now, as a class of vehicles, one thing that's really unfortunate, I know that the Euro version of this that Fiat sells in Europe, and the Ford Transit that they also sell in Europe, both of those things are available with diesel engines, and unfortunately those engines are not available in the United States, and that has to do with the cost to Fiat and to Ford of getting those engines certified as compliant with U.S. diesel emissions, which might involve having to fit additional exhaust plumbing on them and various other things just to get them through it. I guess they've done the calculation and they've decided that it doesn't make sense for them to do it, that the profit isn't there, and that really sucks because these things absolutely scream for diesel power. It's the ideal vehicle for it, and instead of averaging probably about 25 miles per gallon, you could probably average about 35 or even more. It's hard to figure exactly because the conversion rates are different. They use imperial gallons in Europe versus regular standard gallons here, but still the diesels get phenomenally good gas mileage. And of course they have very good torque, and so they're ideal for low speed and for pulling a trailer and so on and things like that. Anyway, the full review of this thing will be up shortly at epautos.com. They're really neat. If you're looking for a way to get a minivan-like vehicle for a lot less money than most people are charging for a minivan, that it uses less fuel, and is frankly more versatile than most of the minivans that are on the market right now, I definitely recommend checking these things out. They're pretty neat. Anyway, thanks for viewing, and we'll catch up with you next time.